Hey, so I'm back and it's the same day. It's actually like an hour later after I posted my other video, and I'm already through the whole ball of yarn, which made it was just like the fastest I've ever knitted anything. So I'm probably going to knit everything with this from now on. I saw a cute pattern on one of the knitting websites that I think it was the Red Heart website, and because they make this yarn, and I looked up a pattern, it was a hat, and I think I could make that hat in literally like 30 minutes. The yarn is so thick. So I think that I'm going to do that. If I have any yarn left, or I might just go get more of this chunky yarn and I'm going to make some hats maybe. And I might make a video with that too because this is so quick. So now I'm going to switch yarns, so I've gotten to the end here. And when you've gotten to this, you don't want to like well, you could keep going with this, but sometimes it's nice to like, well, if you're switching colors, you definitely want to do it at the end, but if you're staying with the same color, sometimes it's nice to just do it like at the very beginning. So to switch yarns, I'm going to go into white, so that'll be white, pink, and stab myself in the eye with my knitting needle. Do not advise. And then gray. But I have two balls of gray, so it's going to be like a long portion of gray, and then a little bit of white and pink. I think that'll be pretty cute. And if not, well, oops. So I'm going to show you guys how to do this. So what I do, there's lots of techniques that you can do. So if you don't like this technique, you can always find a different one that you like better. But basically, you're just going to go in like you're knitting, and I will make it nice for you again, where I show you my hands instead of my face. All right, so we're going to take our knitting, and you're just going to go in like you're going to knit regularly. But instead of taking this tail that you've got where, it's all hanging off and it's like the end of the rope, you're just going to make a loop in your new yarn, and you want to leave a little bit of a tail on that one as well, so that way you can weave the ends in. So I'm going to probably leave maybe like 3 or maybe 4 inches, and then I'm going to make a loop, and instead of using the pink like I said, I'm going to use this to knit with. So you want to pull the pink tight around that white. That is where it can get a little weird and tricky. You want to make sure that is like firmly looped around there, so you're not going to lose that. So sometimes I like to hold that like around another finger so that way it doesn't get loose, and this will be good to keep a hold of. And then you're just going to get it into the next stitch, and you're going to loop around and off. It's going to feel a little bit loose and strange, but you'll have both of these on the end here, and then you're going to be just knitting from your new ball of yarn. So just as kind of normal, going in and using your white. All right, and then when you get to the end there, you have switched to white yarn instead of pink yarn. So then you have your 2 little loops hanging out over here. Sometimes I like to tie these in a knot, just so they don't come. I don't know if you're really supposed to do this, but sometimes I do it just so that way they don't come undone. I like to count. So yeah, there's the little knot right there. And then you can just keep knitting as normal. So you just go back in and keep going. And then you're going to keep going and going and going until you have more of a scarf, and then you need to switch balls of yarn again, or if you need to switch to another color or what have you. You always want to kind of keep it on the tips because it makes it way easier to knit with. I can't believe how fast this goes. It's pretty crazy how quickly you can make something with this yarn. I think that if you're a beginner, this is such a good way to learn, because obviously as you first learn something, you can be pretty slow and it can be very frustrating. So this would be a really good way to learn. So yeah, there we go. Pulled that tight there at the end. And we started with a new color there. So it'll look like that. Oops, and then we kind of see where this came off. I was going to kind of show you guys some things that like happens, sometimes when you're just learning and how to fix those mistakes. So Dropping a stitch would be definitely one of those things that you would encounter and then have to fix. So say here, I'll show you exactly what I mean. So say you're just knitting along and you're in the middle here and you go to grab this stitch but it pops off. So you don't want to let that loop go through, you want to put it back on your needle. But say you drop that stitch and it goes all the way through and it's like this and you are like, oh my god, what am I going to do? Well, this stitch right here is basically just this loop pulled through this other loop. So you can just put that stitch back through and then put it back on your needle. And it's exactly the same as the other stitches before, and then you can just keep knitting. If you find that you can't pull your loop back through, like what I just did with my finger, where I pulled that loop through and made the stitch with my finger, you can pull both your needles out, and then I'll show you kind of what I mean. But say that you see that like this stitch is wrong, so then you would pull that out, and then you would just pull this row of stitches out so you could get back. Don't panic at this point because you can always find your way back in. So just take your needle, very, very carefully go back into your stitches here. There you go, you saved it. Easy as that. Except you know what I did? Don't be like me. I put this on the wrong end. So see, I can't knit from here, but this is where the beginning is, so I'm gonna have to pull it back off. Don't do what I just did. That was dumb. That's better. And then you can keep knitting, just like nothing happened. A lot of knitting is just learning what things look like, what a knit stitch looks like, what a slip stitch looks like, what these things look like, and what to look for and how to fix them. Like I said, a lot of this just came with trial and error. So, yeah, it's just kind of finding your own way to deal with things. This is still going to be a really thick scarf. So really, I could have made it quite a bit thinner. I could have made it like, geez, I wonder if even 10 stitches, that's crazy, because usually I think for a scarf I do like 20, 30 stitches across, depending on the yarn. Yeah, this might be like a 10 stitcher, because I feel like this is still going to be it'll be cozy. It'll be a very, very cozy scarf. I'm back again, same day, but now I'm in my jams, and I have no makeup on my face, but the scarf has gone unbelievably fast. Look at this. That's the wrong side. So, then we got the pink, and then we got the white, and then we have the gray. And I was going to do 2 of the gray, but then I figured that my scarf is kind of like a good length. It's like kind of like a cowl, It's kind of nice. I like it. So, one thing that I didn't talk about that I want to note is that if you are going to switch colors, you kind of want them to be on the same side where it does that, as opposed to looking like this. So you just need to make sure that you're adding the yarn at the same side here. Does that make sense? I hope that makes sense. Just add it on the same, so you have the tail ends on the same. And that'll keep it so it looks uniform on the front. Anyway, so now we're ready to cast off. Alright, so you are just going to knit the first stitch as normal. Okay, and you knit the first stitch, and then you're going to knit the next stitch. And then what you're going to do is you're going to pull the first stitch over the second stitch, just like this. What's the best way to show you? So you go under there, and then you pull it over and leave the first stitch on the needle. So I'll show you that again. Knit the next stitch as normal, and then you're going to pull this stitch over that one. It's pretty easy once you get the hang of it, but it sounds kind of complicated, so knit the next stitch, pull this stitch over the top, leaving that stitch on there. So knit, pull the previous stitch over the top of the last one, leaving that stitch on there, and it'll kind of look like that. It'll look kind of like a braid. Now because this is so not really an infinity scarf like I was thinking, I was going to make it like a long scarf. I think I might have to change the name to cowl, because it is more like a cowl than a scarf, really. Also, you don't want to cast off too tightly because you don't want it to be like puckered on the ends, so keep it loose. Alright, so then we need to take some little scissors like these ones, and we're going to cut a reasonable tail. I'm leaving mine like 5 or 6 inches. Oh, these are not very good scissors. Be smarter than me. Get better scissors. I'm just going to tighten that last stitch up. And then you're going to take your tail end of your yarn here through that last stitch. So you put the tail through that stitch, pull the needle out, and just tighten it up. And then you have cast it off, and it should look something like that. And it's nice and secure. And now I'm going to show you how to weave in all these ends. So you're going to want a needle like this. This is a tapestry needle. I'm hoping that this yarn fits in this teeny tiny little eyelet, because this happens to be the only kind that I have, so I'm hoping that this works. Okay, so instead of using this one, which I couldn't get the yarn through because it was too thick, I used the plastic one. It's a little bit more bendy, and so I forced the thread through there, or not the thread, but the yarn. But yeah, so we're going to weave the ends in, and there's lots of different ways that you can do that. I'm sure there's more right and more wrong ways to do it. I, like everything in life, kind of wing it, so I just take this and I go, I'll show you the front of it. So I kind of go into these the braided end where it like looks like it starts, and I kind of just weave those in so you can't see them. So I kind of go in. Just hide those. And use my really bad scissors and give it a snip. So there's that one all weaved in. And like I said, there's plenty of different ways to do this. I'm probably not doing the most traditional way, but like I said, I tell myself to knit, so sometimes things are just by the seat of my pants. But if you want to learn the real official way, I'm sure there's other people on the YouTubes that do it better than me. I'm just going in and out of the stitches like they already look, so that way it doesn't look that much different. It just looks like maybe a little bit bulkier, but just going in and out of them the way that the yarn already looks. Just realized I'm probably like the worst person ever to explain anything. But that's why I'm, making a YouTube video about knitting, huh? So I can explain all the things badly for you. Okie dokie, so now that I've weaved in all the ends, I didn't show you all of them because I'm sure that I'm probably not doing it the best way possible, but you can't really see them, so I feel like that's fine. Like I said, sometimes when you teach yourself something, yarn in my mouth, you kind of just figure out ways to do it that may not be, I'm not really sure. So since we're doing kind of an infinity scarf cowl kind of thing, I was thinking that I was going to twist the ends and then sew it together, so it's kind of like got some, you don't just sew it together like at the ends here, like boop. I'm going to sew it together with just a twist in it. So I'm going to twist it like that, and then I'm going to sew it together. So I left this edge out that we haven't like seamed in, and I'm going to use that to sew it in because it's just there and it's easy. So much yarn in my mouth. I don't like it. Alright, so I'm just going to be just seaming these together here. As I've said before, I'm probably just doing this my way, and maybe there's other ways to make it look prettier, but I'm just going to make it look as clean as possible here. So I'm going to go in. Alright, I got it all sewed together, and I got all the ends all weaved in there. I'm realizing as I made this tutorial that since I taught myself a lot of stuff, I don't know if the stuff I'm doing is actually what I'm supposed to be doing when I'm weaving things in, and, stuff like that. So maybe you don't want to take my advice, and I wouldn't blame you. But just imagine that I don't look, like I'm ready to go to bed in this scarf. It's crazy. I started this at 6 and it's 10 o'clock and it's already done. I can't even believe it. That went fast. I don't think I've ever knitted anything so quickly in my life. Well, yeah, that's it. I think I'm going to show it to you tomorrow with an actual outfit. I'm thinking about making a hat that's this color to go with it. Because like I said, there was a cute hat pattern online with like a pom-pom on top. I figured this with like the gray hat, it would be so chunky and warm. Yeah. Alright, I'm going to go to bed now. It's time for me to sleep. So here's my scarf. It's all done. Got the little gray part there. And I have just started on the hat to go with it. I was going to film the hat as well to show you guys like purling and stuff like that so you can make a scarf and a hat that go together. But I started the scarf or the hat when I was at work, so I didn't obviously have my laptop and things. But yeah, maybe I'll show you a little bit of the hat. I found the pattern on the Red Heart website under the Grande yarn patterns available there. You can look it up on their website. But yeah, I was also thinking that I was like, oh, maybe I shouldn't be uploading this video about knitting because there's other people that knit better than me on the internet and you could learn from them. And maybe I'm not doing things correctly, but you know what? Who cares? Just hang out and knit with me. Why not? Why can't we do that? I think we should do that. All right, I finished my hat. As you can see, it has a little pom-pom on there. I've never made a pom-pom before, but I just learned how to make one and I put a little pom-pom on there. The reason this hat took me so long is because the pattern I was using that I found on Red Heart was very strange. So I made one the same night that I made the scarf, and it knit really fast, of course, like the scarf, and it made me like a yarmulke. It was so small, and so I thought, oh, okay, because I knitted from the small medium pattern that they had on there, so I was like, I'll just knit the medium large version and it'll fit my head. And so I ripped it all out and then I, started again. And I was noticing that it still looked kind of short. I was just like, ugh. So I kind of did my own thing, added a bunch of rows. I think I added probably 8 more rows to the pattern than that were like online. So I think that the pattern online that they provide is maybe inaccurate or incorrect, or I was just reading it wrong, which seems like I probably didn't read it wrong because I read through it a couple times to see if I could have made a mistake. But anyways, the hat turned out fun. It's very bulky and large. I think it's going to be very warm. And I'll show you that with my scarf together. So I've got my cozy. This scarf is huge. Very, very cozy. And then, I don't know what you'd be doing that you need this much knitted things on your face, but that's the way she goes. Scarf, hat, ready to go, winner. Let's go. And you know what? These only didn't, they didn't take me that long to make. I think that this would be a good little project. You could even make these for like gifts because they go so fast. You can make like a scarf and a hat for somebody. The match. Anyways, because I did alter the hat pattern from the pattern that is available online that I told you guys about, I'm going to rate the pattern that I made myself, like what I added in and whatnot. I'll post on my blog. And then if you want to make the hat as well as the scarf, the scarf's easy. I cast on, 14 stitches? Now I can't remember. I think it was 12. Could be 14. 14. Cast on 14 stitches. I knit and added on colors as I went, and then I cast it off and I stitched it together. It's really easy. The hat is available on Red Heart, but I think it's incorrect, so I'm going to post the pattern that, like how I altered it, and I'll post like all of it written out, so that way you can just go off of the one on my blog if you want to make this hat. And let me know if you guys knit any of this stuff. I'd love to know if I've inspired you to learn to knit, because these are both super easy. Since the hat isn't knit in the round, it's super simple to do. I think just about anybody could make this hat. And I feel like usually hats are pretty hard because you have to circular knit. But yeah, since it's flat and then you just seam it together, it goes really quick and it's really easy. So yeah, actually this is kind of cool. Look at it, it's like a little, I don't even know what this is, a shawl. That's all.